Life takes several turns, but these turns are due to our activities in the past. Welcome back to Sustainable Living with Shilpa Reddy, powered by Planet Green Farm Natura, a new beginning to your life. This episode refers to the discovery, creation, and exploration of entrepreneurial opportunities that contribute to the sustainability by generating social and environmental gains. Today, on yet another episode of Dermiq Nature Tycoon, I have with me a Gen Z entrepreneur who has taken farming to a better level. He has scaled up to the Forbes 30 under 30 for his inevitable contribution to the society. Let's welcome the founder of Urban Kissan, Vihari Kanukollu. Hi Vihari, welcome to my show. I think I've been wanting to get in touch with you for this show because I remember I came to Urban Kissan last year and I was blown away what I saw at your farm. So I will dive right into asking you as to how did Urban Kissan start? How did you conceptualize this? How did you conceive it and with what conviction did you start this?
First of all, thank you for inviting, and it's very overwhelming because if I see the guests who've come before, I don't even know if I'm here deserving here to sit.
Oh, you very well deserve. Don't you ever say that. I'm going to tell my viewers as to, like what you've achieved so far. So
yeah. So Urban Kissan is a startup which primarily focuses on urban farming and sustainable farming. The way we started Urban Kissan is what if by 2030 the current farming techniques continue and the natural resources which are already going down, how will farming look like by 2030 if we have lesser resources like water and arable land? And a lot of people are coming to urban areas, a lot of farmers are coming to urban areas and doing probably an Uber or an Ola and earning as much as they would if they would farm.
And their next generation
is not farming.
Right.
So how do we make farming cool yet sustainable?
Right.
And give consumers all the traceability of where it is coming from.
Right.
And give it an affordable price and not at a very premium price. So that was the primary problem statement Urban Kissan wanted to solve, and me and my partner, I don't come from any science background, I come from a complete commerce background, so I have no idea that even plants can grow without soil before I started this. So my partner, Dr. Sairam, so he is a scientist, so he was doing experiments in his balcony growing without soil. That kind of blew my mind. And that curiosity led to start Urban Kissan, and that's what is the journey of the beginning of the journey as well.
And this field has never been touched by anybody in such a big scale, like the way you guys are doing. And I know this business, you need to educate your clientele before going all out. And I remember last time when I came, I was blown away because I saw these, like rows and rows of edible green and towering over me, and what I initially thought was it must have costed you a lot because the setup and to erect all that you have erected for the plants to grow might be really expensive. But what was the conviction behind making this a success, and how did you plunge into this?
We didn't start off the company by building an urban farm first. When we started off in 2018, where my primary objective was, since I was blown away with what Sairam was doing in his balcony, I thought it would be so cool if everybody could do it in their own balconies, because they could grow their own greens and they don't have to go outside to buy food anymore. So we started off with that, selling home kits where people can grow in an affordable range.
Oh, so you started with home kits?
We started with home kits. We never had a farm because first, neither do I come from a business background, nor does Sairam. So we didn't have the capital to put in and build huge farms in market. So we wanted to sell home kits and make money and then probably see how it goes from there. And that's how we started. We did that for about a year. And then a lot of people came back asking that I don't have the space to grow I don't have the time to grow. I
Right.
don't have the money to grow.
Right. Okay.
But I want to eat good food as my neighbor, because my neighbor is growing and the greens are looking amazing, but I
Right.
can't afford to buy that equipment. And can you grow it for me so that I'll buy it directly from you? And that's where we thought we should make the switch of selling home kits to building farms for others and making as fresh, growing as fresh as possible and giving it to the consumers. That's how we started the farm.
Okay.
In the first farm, we wanted to prove a point that our farms are in cities. So that's why the Jubilee Hills was our first property. So
Right.
we wanted to be in the heart of the city, and road number 36 was the road.
Right. I was blown away too when I came. I'm like, oh my God, like I couldn't imagine such a huge farm in the middle of the city and on a terrace
Yeah.
of one of the buildings there.
Yeah, actually, when we started the farm, a lot of people, while the farm, even the house owner, the rental owner, he started like, what is going to come? He's like, a farm is going to come. He's like, what? Like, do you have a model or an example of how this is going? Like, no, I don't know. It's just going to come. That's all I know.
Okay.
So a lot of people asked, are you going to grow gold because you're in Jubilee Hills? How will you even afford to pay rent?
Correct.
And so we thought we'll figure out.
Wow.
So that was more of a leap of faith and trusting on consumers that if we give them good food, they'll take care of us.
So you saw the need.
Yeah, we saw the need of. While Sairam saw the sustainability side of farming as a problem statement, the problem statement we saw, I saw was there is no brand in F&B space, in the fruits and vegetable space. If you observe how a consumer buys fruits and vegetables, he goes to a retail store,
Right.
and then he picks fruits or vegetables from the outside of it. Like whatever looks good from the outside,
Correct.
that's what goes inside the basket.
Absolutely.
The rest he puts it aside.
Right.
And whatever, if you go late, then you pick the worst.
Right.
And you don't have a choice. If the same consumer is given a better alternative, and if good quality is right beside it in a branded space,
Right.
maybe a 10 rupees higher,
Right.
consumer would obviously pick that.
Yeah.
Right. So
You're assured that-
you're assured that the quality is amazingly better,
Right.
but almost at the same price.
Right.
So I wanted to solve that problem. Why is there no alternative dependency for the consumer to buy better quality food, or fruits and vegetables? That was my
Interesting. This
problem.
is really interesting point.
So yeah, that's how we started, and then from there we grew, cutting down costs. Definitely, it was not affordable. Like you said, it costed us a lot.
Right.
But later we figured out how do we do it in a much cheaper way.
Okay.
So that's where we are right now.
So Vihari, not many people still know what hydroponics is, because I keep posting. I have my own kit at home that I bought from you guys. There are some apprehensions, but before we get there, I want you to tell our viewers all about how it works, the advantages, what they're compromising on, if anything, that is in your, with your knowledge. So let's start everything about. You can start telling us about hydroponics.
So hydroponics is, to put it in simple words, is soilless farming.
Okay.
So you don't use soil, yet you grow plants. And since you don't use any soil, you can vertically stack it as high as possible, right? So you can grow more using very less space in the first place, because you don't use any soil. And hydroponics uses very limited water as well. Because the same water is circulated in the channels in which it grows again and again and again.
Okay.
Right. So since the same water is circulated, very little consumption of water is used.
Right.
So you can grow more. You don't use soil. Thereby you avoid all kind of soil-borne diseases to the plant. And then you use very limited water, which means that this can be grown in very water-constrained places and can be grown 365 days. This is hydroponics. The backstory behind this is this kind of technique is not something which we have invented. This has been there from 1960s.
Really?
And most of them have been growing it in US and Europe. The reason why they started growing it is because they eat a lot of salads, and they wanted clean greens on on their table, right?
Right.
So, but if you do it in soil, all the dust and the mud gets stick to the leaf, and they'll have to clean the leaf.
Correct, yeah.
And if you have to clean the leaf, and that kind of leaf breaks off, or it cuts off the leaves, and it loses the taste. So that's why they've started growing without soil, and that's how fresh it can be. Now, in India, nobody uses hydroponics to grow Indian vegetables because only research has been done till there, only to grow salad greens. So that's why if you see or Google hydroponics, everybody shows lettuce images and basil
that's true.
images. But hardly, not even 0.5% of the Indians eat lettuce and basil even once in a week.
Right.
Right? So unless you give tomato, potato, onion, and all the other vegetables, this kind of farming is not scalable in India. And we as a research and development team are trying to solve this problem as to how can we grow Indian vegetables. Can we take things where it was left, from growing just leafy greens to growing all kinds of vegetables, from carrots to beetroots to everything.
Okay.
And how do we do it hydroponically? And that's the background about hydroponics.
So, did you try any other vegetables apart from leaves as of now?
Yeah, so we grow tomatoes, cucumbers, capsicums, chilies, carrots, beetroots, gourds.
Oh, even beetroots. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Almost about 60, 70 odd vegetable varieties can be grown.
Okay.
And we put in a lot of time and science to figure out how to grow without soil. Because we don't use any soil, there are no nutrients the plant gets.
Yeah, that was my next question. Yeah, please go ahead.
So if there are no nutrients, where does the plant stay? The plant stays in coco peat, coconut waste, because it needs some kind of support to grow. Now, coco peat does not have any nutrients, unlike soil. Now, where do the nutrients come from? Where does the plant grow? That's what we give through water. So all the nutrients, what is nutrients is basically salts and minerals like your NPK, sodium, calcium, whatever the plant needs.
Right.
The food for the plant is given and diluted in water.
Okay.
And the diluted nutrient water is given to the plant, and then it absorbs and then grows.
Okay.
It's the most sustainable way of growing in the future, because soil does not have the nutrients it used to have before.
Right. And is it also true that in few years they said like a large part of India's agricultural land is will be desertified?
Yes.
Desertification, I think it's called.
Absolutely. In fact, WHO reports and all the other reports say that by 2030, we need to grow at least twice the amount of food we will be growing today.
Okay.
But we will fall short of at least 30 to 40% of the water requirement to grow that food.
Wow.
And there's no water, there's no point of growing it in soil, and the arable land is also degrading. So because of excessive use of pesticides on the land, so that puts us in a very uncomfortable state. It was very until I really saw and went to the fields, outside farm fields. This was more on paper for me.
Okay.
It was more on research paper for me. Okay, by 2030 we'll run out of water. That's all I know. But when we started scaling Urban Kissan and growing with farmers, it was very troubling to see people not farming for the rest of the let's say 4 to 5 months of the year. They don't farm because there's no water in the land, and they put up amazing poly houses, but they're all deserted because there's no water.
Right.
And they only farm during rainy seasons. And that kind of hit me hard, because from paper it was hitting me as a person in reality. And that was then it reinstated our problem statement even stronger.
So the potassium, all these minerals that you add to the water, are they chemicals or are they derived from some kind of a natural resources?
It's a mix of natural and synthetic nutrients.
Okay.
These are naturally available salts, which goes into plants. So these are the salts and minerals which the plant takes anyways from the soil. Okay. It's already available in the soil, and the plant takes them and grows. And instead of doing that effort, we're just giving it in water.
So what is the synthetic stuff that you add?
It's the salts and minerals.
Okay, but
it's a mix of
mix
few
of-
salts and few
okay.
minerals which are more refined. So what we do is we have tested our nutrient formulations.
Okay.
And there are reports which say that there are absolutely no chemicals or no salts which harm the humans if they eat hydroponic food.
Okay.
So these are available in all our farms and stores, saying that this is the test report. There's absolutely nothing in it, and it's clean food grown in your neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why we bring the farms to the cities to show that, hey, this is the farm. You can come visit. 24 hours you sit here, you keep seeing what we do. But there's
Right.
absolutely nothing, no pesticides at
Right.
all.
So can you call yourself organic?
According to the Indian government, hydroponics is not classified as organic. The reason is this is not so widely used agriculture technique.
Okay.
Now, once this comes into limelight, once a lot of farmers start adapting it, then it will be classified under organic.
Okay.
Hopefully. But the real definition of organic is you don't use any pesticides. That the whole organic movement happened because there's traceability for the customer, so that they are eating clean food, and there is no pesticides. If at all any, they would use neem oil or any of those natural repellents to the pest. Right. We use the same. We don't use any pesticides.
Right.
And if at all there is any pest, which is natural,
Right, of course.
we use neem oil or any of those sorts to control it.
Okay.
You can take any of our produce, test it, you will not find any traces of reports. So that's why we boldly claim that we don't use any pesticides.
So what would you say to a client who are price conscious? Because when you compare, definitely Urban Kissan is a little expensive than what's available outside. So how do you justify it to your clients?
Actually, no customer asks why is it so price heavy.
Okay,
Because if you see the plants, let's say for example palak, you buy outside in the market, 30% goes waste
That's
just
true.
by removing the old leaves and
Right.
removing the stems and all the broken pieces of it. 30% is gone.
Right.
You paid price for that. But here, the whole bunch is what directly you can use it in any of your cookings.
That's true.
Right? Plus, it's as fresh as it can get. And there is no transport, zero transport, because it's coming from this side of the glass
to-
to
yeah,
this side of
okay,
it, right?
yeah.
Zero transport, zero wastage.
So the nutrients are intact.
The nutrients are intact. It's as fresh as it can get. And in fact, we are moving towards pricing it as market price.
Wow.
So we'll give you, our promise from now on will be that we'll give you amazing quality at the same price as what you can get in the next door or next on the street. So that's where we'll be moving towards.
So as an entrepreneur, how is your day at Urban Kissan, and what are the challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis?
In general, and as an entrepreneurial journey itself is very challenging, and it takes a lot. Unless you're really connected to the cause and you wake up every day, because there is a larger cause more than your self-interest, and that's what drives you every day to go back to work. And challenges are a lot. We are learning every day. We make mistakes, and customers scold us for that. And sometimes they share a lot of love across all the social media platforms.
Right.
So it's quite a journey for us as well.
Apart from what you're doing, like you're already in a space of business which is responsible and making a difference. Apart from that, are there any other practices that you follow in your business space?
So when we say sustainable, so we stand for three things: fresh, local, and sustainable. And that's the brand promise. So when we say sustainable, we just don't say we farm sustainably. We try to bring that sustainability to every factor we get into, be it the electricity bills at our farms.
Okay.
We're trying to see if that we can make that solar. If we
Make that solar. Solar. Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to see if we can get electric bikes to all the delivery guys, and we're trying to see if we can partner with another startup who's in this space. And all our packaging is sustainable. In every element of our business, we try to drive sustainability because we really feel that we want to drive that we are not harming any of the planet. In fact, we're trying to, if not good, we're not at least making it worse.
Worse.
That's something which I don't want to get into.
So can you call yourself zero waste company?
As much as we, the most difficult part is analyzing the demand and then growing, because unlike a factory,
Right.
where if I want a 1 lakh units of something, I can produce it and then I can
Store
stock
it.
it and then sell it.
Correct.
But here, if I need to, let's say, grow 1,000 kgs, I need to plan 40 days in advance,
Right.
because that's the plan. But in that 40 days, a lot of things happen. Either the plant is not growing, or something in the, like COVID happens, or XYZ happens,
Right.
and then you'll have to increase the production that happened. So we try to manage wastage to almost zero through a lot of analytics and AI we use. So
Wow, this is so inspiring. I didn't know you were like actually touching upon so many aspects of business.
yeah.
So Vihari, how is Urban Kissan making a difference in people's lives?
Like there's a consumer side of it, and then there is an aspiration to impact farmers' life as well, which is a very critical aspect for us. Right? When we say that we're researching on how do we get urban farming or even hydroponics or vertical farming to scale, we want every farmer to convert to this. And if that has to happen, it has to be as affordable as it can get.
Right.
And we want to impact their life, especially small land holding farmers, because majority of the farmers do not own a piece of land more than maybe a half an acre or so.
True.
Right? Now, if I'm able to approach a half an acre farmer and say, I'll be able to give you 6 acres worth of produce in your half acre, right? And that is possible by investing as much as what you would invest if you had 6 acres, right?
So
Initial investment, and then rest remains the same, be it your seeds or nutrients is all the same.
Correct.
There's no increment in your operational expenditure. It's just the capex, right? If we're able to get it as close as to open field farm, then we will be able to do a lot of production. We'll be able to change a lot of lives on the farmer side of it.
Okay.
From the consumer side, we're just feeding good food to people, so I'm very happy for that.
Right.
And
you're selling home kits and helping them grow their own produce as well.
yeah, so we have 3 divisions. One, either you grow it, or if you're either you don't have money, or if you're lazy, then we'll grow it for you.
All the time.
All the time, yeah. And or you can buy directly cooked food as well, and that's something which we've started.
Yes, I was going to ask you. Please explain that, the new venture.
Though it's not a new venture, but it's part of Urban Kissan as a brand thesis, right? So our objective of Urban Kissan is to give good food to people, right?
Okay.
And we thought, because it's also, as we're growing a number of farms, we've started growing more produce.
Right.
Now, it either sells today or it doesn't, right?
Okay.
Now, how do we give out of the produce we grow? How do we bifurcate from consumers to if you're able to build a dish and then give it directly to consumers, right? Because either people don't know how to cook, especially people of my age.
Many don't know to cook these days.
Millennials don't know to cook. Even I don't know to cook. So I thought, even if I buy amazingly fresh vegetables from Urban Kissan, I don't know what to do with it.
Oh, so the thought came from that.
The thought came that we are not addressing a very large chunk of people, which are all the people who work in software companies, people who don't have the time to cook or don't have the skill set to cook, but want to eat healthy. Now, if I open Swiggy and all I find is amazing good restaurants, but they're not healthy enough.
Right.
So we thought a farm to fork is a concept which has been there for a very long time, but it can't get closer than this because we have farms, and we cook right there. So we just harvest it, we cook it, and we give it to you.
Right.
Right? So that's why we named it Farm Bowl. So we it's not salads. Salads are boring. So we
Not
wanted
really,
to
yeah.
we wanted to spice things up and
Okay.
see if we are able to add a lot more healthier ingredients and make it a full meal.
Okay.
And make it like a QSR, like a McDonald's, but it's healthier.
Right.
That's something which we wanted to create.
How far are you in achieving that?
We've basically grown from probably 10 bowls of serving a day to currently almost 5,000 bowls a day.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
Wow, in the span of?
In the span of last 4-5 weeks.
That is incredible.
We were amazed with the amount of response we've got.
Wow.
And that showed the need of people eating good food,
Wanting to eat,
wanting to
but
eat good
not
food,
knowing
not
how
able
to use the produce?
Yes.
Wow, this is incredible. The numbers are astonishing.
We were amazed, and we're currently falling short of supply. We're going out of stocks. I'm so sorry for all our
Touch
customers.
wood,
but
that's a great sign.
it's a good problem to have, but yeah.
So, what is your vision for your company?
We want to impact both people and the planet.
And
that's-
farmers.
Yeah, that was included in the people. So we wanted to leave the planet a little better than where we found it, and we want to do as much as we can and we've taken the subject of food. So
Right.
we wanted to grow as sustainably as possible. And feed as many people as possible with the most nutritious food, and that's the primary vision of the company.
And what are your scaling plans? I'm sure you're scaling up. Like, so what is in the pipeline?
So obviously the concept of rooftop was very expensive, but it served its purpose. But unless we broke down to a much scalable method, Urban Kissan would not have scaled to where we are today.
Okay.
So we've figured out how do we build urban farms in the most cheapest possible way, but not losing its core essence of growing
Right.
good food. So we have solved that, and we've been growing from 2 stores to almost about 8 stores today.
In Hyderabad?
In Hyderabad alone.
Okay.
And we've in total grown to about 35 farms today.
Wow.
From Jan to till date. And we want to hit about 100 farms very soon, maybe in the next 4-5 months.
So, what are your expansion plans like?
So we have been scaling here in Hyderabad, and we want to move to other cities like Vizag, Chennai, Kochi, and Bangalore. We've been getting a lot of requests from these cities because everybody wants and loves the brand,
Right.
and we would ideally be about 100 and 150 farms by end of this year, and that's the scale we want to achieve.
Wow. And how difficult is for you to bring up the team to make this happen?
It's going to be a very exciting journey is all I can say, and fortunately the whole team is in place.
Wow.
So it's just the thought of when do we do it? Do we do it now? Let's start.
Okay.
That's all where we are at.
So, what's most important to you? Emotional gratification or financial gratification?
If it was a financial gratification, I wouldn't be in this business. there are many more businesses where I could, you could earn money very fast.
That's true.
And or multiply your money very fast. But for me, it's more. Every day, if I have to go back to work, I should feel a purpose I'm resolving to, and it is always emotional gratification for me. And everything we do, it's always solving a higher purpose than ourselves.
Wow, so beautifully
That
said. That's wonderful. So, Vihari, what according to you every household can change to steer towards sustainable eating habits or healthy sustainable eating habits?
So most of them are not even aware what they eat. That's the biggest problem. There's no conscious eating.
Okay.
So if everybody starts to when they're sitting on their lunch near lunch or dinner, they if they just pay attention to what they're eating, that will solve half the problem of healthy eating, right?
So, you mean to say when you say conscious, knowing where the food is coming from, or
knowing
what's in it?
knowing what you're eating. So So there is most of the eating has now become subconscious. You're eating because you're hungry, and that's it. So once your hunger is there or your cravings are done, and you stop eating. So most of the eating happens subconsciously.
Okay.
But if you're able to put in effort and bring in attention to what you're eating, and also attention to where this has come from, that itself will make a shift to healthy eating, is what I believe. And yeah, you also have to buy from Urban Kissan, which will solve the other half of the problem.
Okay, fine. So I want to congratulate you. I know this. I mean, we spoke about this few months back. You were shortlisted to be on the Forbes 30 under 30. So what difference did it make to you and to your company?
For me personally, that was my biggest ever achievement, because when I was a kid, I used to have these Forbes magazines in my college, and I always wanted to be on that. For some reason, I always wanted to be on that.
Really?
And, yeah, and whenever I go to airport to going somewhere, I always stand near that magazine and say, this is somewhere I want to be. And when I got a mail from them saying you're shortlisted and you're selected, that really blew my mind. And all of them who know in my inner circle were, the only first thing he said, this is all you ever wanted.
Oh, so they all knew.
They all knew that, yeah, he got what he wanted. But for me, it was one of my biggest achievements in life, for me personally.
Right.
And for the company, it gave a lot of recognition, because you're no longer fighting for your voice. It gives you voice, and when you're recognized by such large organizations and it gives you a voice in the society when changes have to happen.
Correct. Yeah.
And that yeah.
So Vihari, you're in the sustainable space. What is your personal idea of sustainability?
For me, sustainability is it's more on the smaller aspects of it. From the smaller things you do. You don't have to buy an electric vehicle to call yourself sustainable. It starts from toothbrush, or it starts from every small aspect in your life, and from clothing to everything.
Right.
How you can impact. It doesn't have to be small or big. Every small change ripples and becomes bigger eventually. So eventually, hopefully everybody gets an EV vehicle, but that's the higher aspiration.
Right.
We can always start small, and that's where.
So rightly said. In fact, our show is all about that, and you just said what we're trying to convey to our audiences, that it's such a large subject, it's such a deep subject. Everyone, again, cannot do everything, but smallest of the changes can have a huge impact.
And it's not a lifestyle change. It's an essential change.
Yeah.
It's a necessity. When people start feeling it is a necessity, it's like your basic food, shelter.
Right.
It is as important as that.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like an idealistic lifestyle, but then it should be like,
it's not
what
an
you might
ideology
need.
or a philosophy. It's a way of living where everybody has to change for the better of everyone.
Wow. So before we conclude the show, I want you to, pledge any small change that you want to make in your life to make it a little more sustainable.
In my life,
Yes.
or
In your life.
it
It could be a very small thing. It doesn't have to be a large thing.
Hopefully, I would move my house to solar. That's something which.
You've been wanting to do.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do that, but I would want the whole of it to move to solar. That's something which I would love to pledge. Maybe not immediately, but I would want to do it as soon as possible. Maybe within a couple of months or so.
Vihari, thank you so much for coming on my show, and I really like the way you shared your knowledge about the future of our agriculture in India. Very insightful. Thank you again, and we wish you all the best. And I hope Urban Kissan impacts, like how you said, consumers, farmers, and planet on the whole. Thank you.
I'm so privileged to be here. Thank you so much.
We also have a wonderful hamper from Nourish, which is nutritious.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I hope you all enjoyed this inspiring conversation. Please do subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned for more updates. See you all next week. Signing off, Shilpa Reddy.